So nothing is more frustrating than when you're on vacation and, well, you get a check engine light. So I was recently in Arizona, which is about 2,000 miles, maybe? Yeah, about 2,000 miles away from where I live. And I got a check engine light. And it's interesting because the car just hit 200,000 miles, which is a Toyota. It lasts, it's cool. But the code was a P0368, which means camshaft position sensor B circuit high input. How unfortunate. And then the worst part about it, the sensor, because there's 4 of those camshaft position sensors, it's the one right over here underneath the intake. It can't be the ones that are easy that you could fix and access on the side of the road. It has to be the one that you have to take everything out. Bummer. And when this code popped up, the fuel mileage would suffer a little bit. The car would lose a little bit of power. It would still run. It wasn't missing or anything like that, but you could tell that there was some performance loss on it. And being 2,000 miles away, especially when you're losing fuel economy because it started running rich and dumping fuel, you don't want to damage the catalytic converters. And yeah, so yes, I could take it to a shop over there and have them misdiagnose it and just overpay and have more issues. So what I had to do, unfortunately, on that trip was we had to detour back. We cut the trip a day short. Initially, we were going to go up the northern route to come back to where we were at a couple of 100 miles extra to the trip. But we decided to cut a day short, limp it back. And the interesting thing is that the code was very intermittent. It would go away, car ran beautiful. Come back, run like garbage. It is what it is. So today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fix it. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think and know what it is. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can do a scope and a whole bunch of other tests like this. I pretty much know what the issue is. So about 170,000 miles, I did the spark plugs on it. And if you know these Toyota connectors, they break. That's right. And that connector, it broke. And it was one of those things that I said I'll eventually go back and fix it, which I never did. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So the connector is just kind of dancing there, and I never had an issue, but of course a long trip like that, different altitudes and temperatures, it decided to act up. So we're gonna take out the intake. I bought the connectors, which I'll show in just a sec. I'm gonna replace the connector over here. That one did break, but that one's nice and secure. So I'm gonna change that connector, and because that sensor is not accessible, I am gonna change that sensor just so I don't have to take the intake apart. If any other sensors fail, like for example, that one right over there, it's right there. The ones up the front, they're right up here. I could change it without taking the intake. So more than likely, it is the connector, but like I said, I don't want to go back there again. The spark plugs are still good. We're just going to change that connector, sensor, change that connector while I'm here, and call it. So let's dive in. All right, let's pop this cover off. Probably the easiest part of the job. And I think what I'm going to do, just because I don't want to get anything in there, let's blow all this junk out. So now I got to remember how to do this. And from what I do remember, it's a pain in the butt. The reason is that this intake, there's a bolt that holds it in the back, and I think I had to do some type of MacGyverness to get to it. But I think we'll start by getting the throttle body off, connectors, get all this stuff moved over. I think I had to actually slide this harness over, and that allowed me to get to it. So let's get the 10s and get to it. There's a connector back here. Let's at least start there. Not off to a good start. I don't want to come off. Let's start with this hose. Take good pictures because there's a lot of hoses here. Here's another one. That's good. That's perfect. 10 right over here. Another one here. I mean, so far we're doing good. This connector off over here. This is there. I don't know what that does, but you know, it's fine. All right, a lot more room there. This connector right over here. Oh man, nice. These are coolant lines, and I really don't want to disconnect them. I can't remember if, pretty sure I had to. Leave the throttle body in, disconnect these, and then this could slide up and out. So, you know, now that I look at it, I don't think I ever took this apart. There's a bracket under here, is there? Yeah, I don't think I ever took this apart. I think I just slid this over, which I think that's exactly what we're gonna do again. Just take out the throttle body. Because I really don't want to deal with the mess. Let's just take this out and slide it, we'll see. Yep, I think that's exactly how I did it. And she's due for a little cleaning. I don't remember if I cleaned this the last time I was here. A little bit oily. I mean, 200,000 miles. Yeah, that works out. Because now, it's not in the way. So I actually had to go ahead and take a look at the video I did for the spark plugs. But it's actually a lot easier than it looks. There's one bolt over here, and there's another one on the other side. And according to past me, the way for future me to do this, or now me, is to use a 12mm ratcheting wrench. Get it right over here. And I'll show you that again, and I'll post a link to that video. And then you could, you know, take this out. So let's try that. Did I really use a ratcheting wrench? Maybe I had a better one back then. Can't really turn it, so let's get a small ratchet. Will that work? Am I even hitting the ball right? I don't know. There it is. I gotta tighten that. Okay. All right, here's your 12mm. I want to take off the intake, get you a better view. And then behind here there's this runner, which is on the passenger side. If you follow it back, that's where the other bolt and the bracket is. The bracket sits on the valve cover. If you go for the bolt that's attached to the intake, good luck. But I'll get you better views. Slide through over here, this little wiring harness. You can reach your hand back here and you can feel where the bracket is. You'll feel like a little wedge in there. That's where that bolt is. It's a 12mm, and you could get that out a lot easier. Leave the bracket on the intake, and then once we get rid of, or once we take out these bolts up here, this will slide out. Easy to show once it's out. Spoiler alert, I forgot to put the bolt that goes to the valve cover on. So it's just sitting there. It's still strong enough. I mean, it's resting on the valve cover, so I guess it's fine. Where that bolt is, I don't know. But let's get these out. All right, so these are 5s. These are Pittsburgh Harbor Freight quality tools. And you know what? It works for the job I do. Let's break all these loose. Man, these are tight. And these were torqued. I do remember torquing these. Got the 10 and the 10. All right, and if I remember correctly, bingo. Oops, I guess I didn't remember too correctly because there's a hose here. Silly me. There we go. So this is what I was talking about. So this is the one on the passenger side. This bolt, definitely won't be able to get to it. You can, but it's not easy. This one rests on the valve cover on the back. Put a 12, you get in there with a small little ratchet. Comes right out. I forgot to put it in, probably because I was lazy that day, but it's fine. And let's pull these out. And the reason I'm pulling them out is because I don't want to lose them. These are the intake gaskets. I've already replaced them. I'm not going to replace them again. They should be fine. And our prize, which is way back there. Yep, right back here. Yep, that's the one. But the interesting part is, the connector is not broken. I could have sworn I broke that connector. Now I broke the spark plug ones and I did the zip tie method. So I guess that sensor is bad. Well, I'll be. All right, so let's reposition the camera and take that out. Now, before we do anything, we got to cover these holes. Let's just wipe all this off. And this is why you blow everything off prior to this job, so you don't get anything down there. I know in the video I did for this, I got a lot of hate because people saw I didn't block this off. You're absolutely right. You need to block this off. If something falls in there, you know, you're doing some big work. Now, I'm just going to use these Walmart bags. Because I got a ton of them. Walmart bags work great for stuff like this. Trash bags for the, the bathroom trash and all that stuff. Packing material. I use these a ton. Packing material. I keep all my Walmart bags. Apparently, if you go to New York, these things are like gold. The connector is way back there. 10mm bolt. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to break any other connector because I don't have them. If I had more room, I guess maybe I could take these out. There's 3 10s over here. If I could just slide this up and get my hand in there. These connectors weren't so brittle, I wouldn't be as worried. There we go. And it didn't break. Oh, that is awesome. Oh, okay. Folks, I know exactly what's wrong with this connector. I broke the wires. And what I actually ended up doing was just liquid taping it. So, yeah, this connector is definitely done for. I'm glad I did buy the connector for it. So it's a problem I created. But now this liquid tape is working really well. There we go. And I'll get you zoomed in just a sec. But yeah, this connector is... I am reminded of my sins for this. But I am still gonna replace that sensor. All right, so connector is fixed, and I gave it a lot more slack. That was one of the issues I had when I was dealing with the coil packs and all that stuff. Was I think I went to pull and it ripped out the wire, and I just kind of glued it and placed it in place. Well, that's exactly what happened, but now I have more slack. This is all put together. Didn't want to bore you with those skills. I am going to take this sensor out and I'm going to replace it. And my thing is, like I said, I don't want to go back and have to deal with this. So hopefully this cooperates and I don't create more issues. But you know, makes for good content, I guess. And I know it's hard to see, or at least what I'm seeing from the camera, but it's pretty much in between these two in the back. What cylinder numbers those are, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Now let's just make sure I have this nice and easy. There we go. Will this sensor cooperate? It seems so. It's coming out. Alright. And there's our prize. Denso, made in Japan. Interesting. Now I am going to keep that sensor because I'm like 99% sure there's nothing wrong with it. And the issue was caused by me breaking the wires. But we got this one. And getting here is a lot easier than I thought, just not when you're on the side of the road or in a different state without all your tools. So I'm gonna take some of this oil, dab it on the O-ring, just like so. And let's just kind of compare. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. So this one is made in Japan, this one's made in Malaysia, which I'm sure the old one's a better one, but this is a revised part number, and I guess that's good. Let's see if we could squeeze that in there. Alright, felt it pop in. Now you want to make sure that that pops in. You don't want to draw it in by the bolt. You can tear, roll the gasket, then you got an oil leak. And this wiring harness is really, it's not in the way, but it doesn't make it easy. So maybe it is in the way. Just get a little snug. All right. That's sitting good. Let's take our new, not broken connector with 10 feet of wire. And my whole thought about this is, if I ever have to go and do the spark plugs, which I'm not sure how long I'll keep this vehicle, but if I ever have to go back in, we got plenty of room for activities and such. So now let's take our coil back, or our coil wire, plug that back in. Everything's looking good. Let's get this back where it needs to be. Plug those in. This is gonna be fine. I think I might zip tie it, all this excess right over here. And now this wire, this excess, I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine if we leave it hanging, but I'm just gonna put it up here so it's not sitting on the valve cover or anything. I'm not gonna super tie it, I just don't want it to sit. And that's gonna be perfect. Right over here. I went ahead and cleaned up the mating surface, wiped down the O-rings. Like I said, these things are in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong with them. Probably got, what, maybe 30,000 miles on it. So let's go ahead and slide this. Be mindful of this bracket, as it needs to go below this wiring harness. So if it doesn't want to fit, you know, just let it be. And before I forget, I almost made a mistake. We need our vacuum hose. Okay. Unfortunately, I can do that by hand. I'm gonna double check my gaskets. Slide this in. Good, good. Man, it's almost like I know what I'm doing sometimes. take our 12, put it behind here. This is kind of what's going to hold the whole thing together. Maybe. Just kind of fishing it in, nice and easy. The goal is to get everything started. All right, so we got everything put back together. Actually, not too bad of a job. And for some reason, I was thinking this job was a lot worse. I don't know. But anyways, let's go ahead, let's fire it up. Make sure I ain't got no misfires, or did I forget to put things back together? We shall see. I've done that before. Let's fire up. No check engine light. So the way it worked is it would just come on instant even after resetting the battery and erasing the codes. So that is fixed. It's making good connection, obviously, because, well, it's attached. No misfires. But everything's good. My suggestion is be careful with these connectors. If you're doing spark plugs back there, it is tight. You can break that connector like I did a couple of years ago. Don't glue it. Buy them. They're pretty cheap. And as far as the sensor, if you're back there, might as well change it. They're not known for going bad, but in this case, that's not a job I want to go back and do again. And if I run into issues with the other one, you have one here, one there. Easy to replace. So pretty easy. Unfortunate that my mistake a couple of years ago messed up my long road trip, but just gives me more reason to go back out there. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.